My golden child sister got herself arrested during my wedding, and then later out of anger revealed a dark family secret that almost destroyed my life. A few weeks before my wedding, my sister asked me if she could propose during the reception. But when I said no, she got our parents to show up at my door to yell at me. My mother went insane when I kept saying no and threatened to destroy my fiancé's dress, but I told her I would press charges if she did this. She started crying and asked if I would really do that to her. And when I said yes, she stopped crying and went back to screaming. They only left when I threatened to uninvite my sister, who actually promised she wouldn't propose at my wedding. But when my wedding came around, her boyfriend showed up in white. And as a cherry on top, as we were about to cut the cake, I heard my sister's boyfriend screaming, "Yes." I turned around to see her proposing to him. She put the ring on his finger, but as soon as she did, the maid of honor spilled red wine all over them. Immediately afterward, everything spiraled out of control. My sister was convinced we had planned the spill, thinking we wanted to embarrass her and her boyfriend. She was furious and caused a scene in front of all the guests. My wife, Amanda, and I felt the eyes of everyone on us. It was clear my sister couldn't let it go. She approached the maid of honor, who was already really embarrassed and trying to clean up the mess. Even though she tried to say sorry and explain it was an accident, it wasn't. My sister kept saying she did it on purpose. She began yelling and cursing at her, then she began to cry. This caused even more people to get involved trying to calm things down. I jumped in trying to cool things off, but it just made her louder and more upset. Out of nowhere, she stepped right up to me and shoved me. I was totally caught off guard and stumbled back. I pushed back and things got out of hand fast. We ended up scuffling, grabbing at each other's shirts, and before we knew it, we were swinging at each other. Then Amanda decided to call the police. When the police showed up, they talked to a bunch of people to figure out what happened. It was really embarrassing to explain the whole fight, especially in front of all our friends and family who were there to celebrate with us. In the end, the police decided it was best for my sister and her boyfriend to leave the party. As they were being led away, my sister kept yelling about how that war of a bridesmaid ruined their day. Even though it was a relief to see her go, I also felt sad because she's still my sister. After they left, the whole mood at the wedding was pretty down. A lot of guests started to leave too, saying sorry as they went. The morning after the wedding, my phone buzzing nonstop woke me up. It was my parents calling from their vacation in Italy. They had missed the wedding for their holiday, but my sister had already called them and told them her side of the story about what happened. From what they were saying, it was obvious my parents were on my sister's side. She's always gotten her way since she was the younger sister and baby of the family. They seemed disappointed in me and expected me to fix things. The whole conversation felt pretty one-sided. Mainly because they had only heard my sister's version of the story. This kind of thing isn't new. In our family, it's always been like her word gets more weight than mine. Not only that, my parents told me I had to bail out my sister, who had ended up spending the night in jail because once she was outside, she started arguing with the officers and acted like an a-hole to them. They also said I needed to replace her boyfriend's dress that got wine-stained during the wedding, which turned out to be the dress he was planning to wear at their own future wedding. We ended up in an argument and I brought up every time they were in her favor, but they didn't see my point of view. I told them how they'd always favored my sister since we were kids. Every Christmas, it was obvious she was the favorite because she got most of the gifts while I got less. Whenever she messed up, I was blamed since I was the older brother and supposed to set the example. This pattern continued into our teen years. I always had to include her in everything I did, which made it feel like I couldn't have my own life. She was always there. In that conversation, I realized I couldn't do this anymore, and I told them to keep me out of the current mess with my sister. I said they can go F off if they expected me to bail out my sister after she ruined my wedding. The other end of the line fell silent. They said they were coming back to the US that instant and hung up. They came back from their trip that day and immediately bailed out my sister themselves. I found myself in the kitchen getting breakfast ready for Amanda. I was still thinking about the call with my parents, but I pushed it aside to focus on making this morning special for her. When I walked into the bedroom with the tray, I saw Amanda sitting up with puffy eyes from crying the night before. I set the tray down and joined her on the bed, telling her about the call with my parents. She listened. I could see she was still hurt from our ruined wedding night. I told her that we wouldn't let them ruin today too. I placed the tray on her lap, showing her favorite breakfast. Pancakes, strawberries, and whipped cream. Her eyes lit up and she smiled at me. As she started eating, I told her exactly what I knew would cheer her up, a shopping trip to her favorite stores. Amanda shook her head and said she'd love that. She was eyeing a new pair of shoes since the last time we left the mall, and I was going to get them for her. We spent the morning enjoying breakfast in bed. Later, we went out to Amanda's favorite shops. While Amanda was in the dressing room, I got a call from my sister. She was clearly drunk and started bragging. She told me our parents promised her a lot of money and valuable family property, making sure she'd get the family inheritance, not me. I asked her what she was talking about, and she said that the reason why I was jealous of her was because our parents would make sure she was set for life, and nothing that I could do would change that. She told me about $101,000 in the trust that Dad made for us, but it only had her name on in the will. She said she saw Dad's will and that they wouldn't be leaving me a dime. The call ended suddenly. And just as I was about to call back, Amanda came out of the dressing room. She asked if the dress made her look fat. I looked at her and saw how beautiful she looked. The dress fitting her perfectly. I smiled at her and I told her she looked stunning. I asked her if she wanted that one and if she was ready to go. I really wanted to go home at this point. She said we could get out of there, and we did. As we were driving home, Amanda seemed happier, and this made me content. When we pulled into the driveway, my heart sank.